Hello out there in YouTube land. This is Morris Man, and as always, thank you for coming to my channel. Today I'm going to do a special video. I got a question from a subscriber. I've been playing music for like over 25 years, guitar, bass, some other couple of other instruments. And they asked me, who would you say would be your most influential artist that inspired you? And I didn't have to think twice about that one, because anybody that knows me knows that James Ambrose Johnson is my #1 inspired artist. And most of us know him by his stage name, which is Rick James. Rick James was born in Buffalo, New York. And Rick James is was a very unique artist to me for several reasons. I was told that in order to be successful, you got to be one of three things: first, best, or different. And actually, Rick James, I think, was actually all three of those at some point in his career. Rick James started off writing with Motown back in the 60s. And actually one of the very first songs that he penned was a song called Melinda, which co-writer was Smokey Robinson. It was a very beautiful ballad in the early 70s. And I had went looking for that particular song for years, but the reason why I couldn't find it because I thought it was entitled Belinda. It was actually Melinda. Very beautiful ballad. So for a couple of years, Rick James was on Motown as a staff writer. Then eventually he, I guess, graduated or promoted to artist. And oddly enough, he was in a band called the Minor Birds that Motown never released the record. They actually put it on the shelf. And oddly enough, the other two members of that band went on to become Hall of Famers, Neil Young and the lead singer for Steppenwolf. Now, I can't imagine those three guys together, but hey, when you do music, it's universal and the creative juices just flow. And they never did release that album, unfortunately. So after that, Rick James went to the war, or should I say he signed up for the armed forces. And I guess at some point in time, he decided he didn't want to do that. So he fled and went to Canada, and he was charged with going AWOL. But he did come back to the States, and I think he did serve a little time in the Briggs for going AWOL. But during the time that he was in Canada, he formed another band, biracial band, and the name of that band was called White Cane. And I was in search of that album for like 10 years, because when I read in Rattle On magazine, they did a special story. The whole book was basically on Rick James, and they mentioned about that particular album. So I was quite excited about trying to track it down, and thanks to eBay, I did. The first week that I got on eBay, I actually found 2 copies of that album. And it was pretty good. It was kind of different. It was kind of like a folk pop type of thing. Nothing like the band or the sound that he was going to eventually create with Stone City Band. So when he came back from Canada, he formed the Stone City Band. And at that time, the hot thing or the hot artist was Bootsy Collins. And he made a comment stating that, wow, this guy just trying to do a Jimi Hendrix imitation. We can do better, and we can take our group to the top, which actually what he did. And what was so unique to me about the Stone City Band was, or Rick James compositions was, it was R&B based. You can definitely hear the rock influences. And oddly enough, in just about every Rick James song, and for most just enjoyers of music would have not probably caught on to this, but musicians would have, a lot of his songs had a lot of jazz chords in it. And that was kind of unique for its time, with the exception of Motown. But everybody else is just doing basically major, minor, minor sevens, minor suspended fourths. But Rick James is doing a lot of diminished chords, augmented chords, which is kind of unique for an R&B man. And Rick James, as you know, wrote a lot of songs. And what I loved about his songs was not only they were good songs, they were arranged very well. And I think he kind of brought that talent over from when he was writing with Motown or for Motown, because Motown was known for their lavish arrangements as well. So Rick just kind of, I guess, took that with him, because when you listen to Rick James stuff or songs, especially when you have your headphones on, you can really appreciate the arrangements. A guitar lead's picking over in this ear, rhythm is over here, horns are in the middle, drums, bass, keyboard, clavinet, just everything. And it was arranged well, like, again, the Motown stuff, because I'm not knocking today's music, because I'm an older guy and I can appreciate my era just like the young guys appreciate theirs, and I respect that. But what I miss in yesterday's music is the arrangements. Because in most songs now it's just a big drum beat, a bass line, and just a synth line running in and out, something to that extent. There's no multiple guitars, multiple piano layers like it was back in the 60s, 70s, 50s on back. So, I kind of miss that. And Rick James did that extremely well. One of the many things that I loved about Rick James, the artist, was his songwriting ability. He wrote very good songs. And not only that, he was the monster of the bass lines. I mean, the majority of Rick James stuff was written on bass because you can tell a lot of times, not all the time, but in most cases, you can tell what instrument inspired the song because usually that particular instrument is very dominant in the song. And hands down, Rick James was the master of the funky bass lines. I mean, you think about it, Super Freak, Coming to My Life, Love Gun. Matter of fact, Love Gun was heard by Quincy Jones and he asked permission to use it, and it ended up in Thriller. If you listen to them, they're the same bass line, Thriller and Love Gun. I didn't know that until I did a little research and I said, wow, it sounds just like it, just never thought about it. And I owe a lot to Rick James because if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have been playing and appreciating and loving music for over 25 years and writing songs, So the year that he died in 2004 was a very difficult year for me because within a matter of 2 weeks span, I lost my idol, musical idol, and I lost my mom. And my mom was very dear to me. Everybody that knows me know that my mom was very dear to me. So that was a very difficult year for me. But I'm glad that Rick James have a legacy that will live on, and we listen to his music every day and enjoy it. And not only that, but he was a great producer. You think about it, Mary Jane Girls, Processing the Do-Rags. I think it was another guy, saxophone artist by the name of, I want to say Bobby J, but I might be mistaken. But Rick James wrote a lot of great songs, produced a lot of great songs for other artists. Tina Marie, another one. So I just thought I would pay tribute to the man and his music. And I thank you for coming to my channel and viewing this video, this special video. And, I might do another one in the future on him, some a little more in-depth stuff, because I couldn't cover the master in 7 minutes. But I did my best. I tried my best. So thanks for watching, and see you guys next time. Thanks.